Those work today. They do. Hello, everyone, and welcome to a special edition of Nat20Hot, specifically our 69th session extravaganza. Because
Oh, this is
this is 69, but Dunk, because when we last encountered our heroes, we promised you a 69th session extravaganza, and to that end, I believe that there are no other characters worthy of being the centerpiece of our 69th session
very true,
other
very true.
than Dunk. Because upon returning to Hylosera, unable to convince Amar to return to his post as king of the Summer Court, the party was not coming back empty handed. They had learned some very good information from the king, learning that Gwen, the hag and Baba Yaga, was once a paramour of Amar and had shared a similar affliction to that of Dunk. That wild magic, especially in the late days of the Convergence, where earliest memories of Gwen begin, was actually incredibly common. Records of a study done upon Gwen are kept at the Ashenmoor, a legendary ancient structure in the capital city of Hylosera, maintained by the Lexi Conclave, a reclusive group of stewards and scribes who ward knowledge and histories of the realm, including those deemed unsafe for mortal minds. So, convinced to learn more and see what could possibly be able to be learned of his condition, Dunk and Sina attended the Ashenmoor while the rest of his companions went off on various exploits, and they were greeted by the steward Thom, a quiet man with intricate tattoos all along their shaved head, and they were promised an audience with the Grand Magister. So they stepped inside the quiet, indomitable tower, and that is where we find ourselves. So as you enter Dunk, you see this kind of sprawling labyrinthian hall of the Ashenmoor kind of stretching out before you. You're a bit difficult to understand that you might actually be within a tower. It seems almost bigger on the inside, where the walls are kind of structured into a loop of bookshelves that tower along the interior of the tower, and a kind of winding staircase goes alongside them, not unlike the library that you experienced in Old Hallow. Um, there are all manner of like locked cases and cabinetry that some of which have like small panels where you can peer inside, some of them radiating a soft arcane glow, particularly within the pseudo lobby that you find yourself in at the moment. And all in all, the air is going to be very thick with aged parchment and ink. It's very quiet. You hear nothing but the occasional like scrawl of quill on paper, and the kind of faint hum of quiet contemplation happening within the lobby here. Everyone that you see milling about bears the same likeness to that of Thom, where they wear very simple robes with a exact same chain across all of them, bearing the kind of sigil of the conclave. But each of them has their heads entirely shaven. Even the women have just kind of very thin bands of hair at the back, which lead up to very tight ponytails. And you note that all of the tattoos are slightly different, but many of them bear similar markings. Um, Thom kind of turns around and gestures to his lips to be silent as you proceed through the halls. But he is at this point guiding you up toward the Grand Magister's office, if you'd like to do anything.
Um, I'll ask him. How how long has this tower been conducting these kinds of uh research?
The Ashenmoor is ancient. It is said that it perhaps even predates the capital itself. Some argue, though texts can confirm but are at this point under lock and key, that the tower has not always been here in this exact spot, but has rather been placed here as one of the most well defended and open minded cities of the Fey Realms.
Hmm.
In here houses knowledge that spans millennia, some of it too dangerous to be known by just anyone, and thus the Lexi Conclave is tasked with protecting and warding this knowledge as much as studying it. That includes protecting it from ourselves. There are things within these walls that even the bravest scholars do not dare confront.
What kinds of things?
If I were aware of those things, I would be more than a mere steward. And it is questions like that that are typically unbecoming of guests of the Ashenmore.
Say no more.
Sina kind of looks around worriedly and looks over to you like, are you sure about this? It feels a bit unwelcome.
Uh, no, I'm kind of getting a weird vibe from these guys, but not an immediately dangerous one. But keep those daggers close.
Yeah, you can go ahead and make a perception check if you'd like as you kind of proceed up the stairs, which are quite narrow. You're walking in a single line. You get the sense that most of the space allocated is dedicated to the storage of items and books and scrolls, as well as just affording a lot of table space for the many stewards and scribes that kind of pore over the volumes that are accessible.
Okay. 23.
Okay. You note that there are, as you kind of wind up the staircase, each of them kind of drops off on a landing where little spokes kind of go off in different directions. Some of them darker and less devoid, like, more devoid of people. You get the sense that like where you're kind of walking up this inner chamber that makes up most of the like open space in the Ashenmoor. There's a lot more that exists in the outer ring, where you assume more must lie beyond where you're currently in this kind of main library that seems to go from ceiling to or from floor to ceiling rather. What you do also notice is that as you have to kind of shimmy over to the side to allow another group passing down to go beyond you. They're kind of all talking in hushed tones, and as soon as they see two people who do not bear the tattoos of the stewards, they immediately silent and kind of bow their heads to continue proceeding beyond you.
Can I tell what like the race makeup of these people are? Are they
Yeah.
all like human, ladrin? Well, I guess probably not very humans, but
Yeah, there are no humans. There are quite a few Eladrin, but you notice that not all of them are summer Eladrin. There are a fair mix of winter and spring and autumn Eladrin as well, all of them bearing similar markings of the Lexi Conclave. But there are a fair number of gnomes and dwarves as well. You don't see many of like the traditional like pixies and fairies that you've become accustomed to seeing in the Feywild. This is actually probably the place where you see the most of like the more humanoid races that you've seen concentrated in one particular place.
okay.
What you also notice, given your very high perception, is that nobody is carrying a weapon so far as you can see. They all wear very simple clothing, and for the most part, a lot of them like seem very worn. And anything that people are wearing seems to be just means to carry more books and scrolls around the facility.
I'm gonna make a note, Cena. I don't see a whole lot of people very physically armed, but although I'm starting to learn a little bit more about books, still makes me nervous.
It's true. Yes. We'll be mindful. We'll be very
Yeah,
demure.
very demure, very
Yes.
very cutesy.
Yes. As Thom leads you up further up the stairs, he will kind of like turn to you and goes, "The Grand Magister Morgana is very wise and very powerful. I advise you to keep your conversations directly upon the affliction that you currently suffer from, and that deviating from that subject is not to be recommended, given that you are a guest here at the Ashenmoor. You will answer her questions and your questions alone. You are here to answer, not to question."
Thank you for that.
Before long, you do kind of reach the landing here. And you're kind of, it's very intricate where the staircase seems to keep going up and beyond. Where you find yourself is a glass cylindrical room that functions as almost like a focusing lens for the light coming in from the ceiling to illuminate the floor below. So the crystalline structure of the glass actually kind of scatters the light in different directions coming in from the central I don't know what you would call it, but like hole in the dome. And
Like
this
a
is
like a skylight
yeah,
kind of
very
thing.
similar to a skylight. And this is actually what's making up the office of the Grand Magister. So there's a small landing that is afforded the space and an intricate glass door that you can step into, but there is kind of a separate vestibule within before you're afforded additional entry. You can see as it's like easy enough to look into the room, but it's the glass is kind of milky that kind of inhibits some of the detail within. that inside are just more bookshelves and scroll casings. However, there's a fair many more like kind of pedestals of artifacts within, as well as like what you can see is kind of like a circular table where someone like might like sprawl out and not dissect, but lay out a lot of organic or inorganic material.
Huh.
Um, Thom will kind of gesture for you to enter the small glass vestibule. And as you do so, he will kind of cover his ears and be like, best cover your ears, it is a bit loud to start.
I will not.
Okay, I'll have you make a constitution saving throw.
Dirty 20.
Okay. Given your resilience and capabilities, you are shocked by what occurs, but it doesn't like abnormally affect you. Where this kind of like just shoot of steam and high powered air just like rocks you, and you're kind of like puffed up like a poodle after a fine grooming, given your fur, and kind of like batters your face and it fills your ears. You can't hear anything of what's going on, but Thom is like kind of looking at you wide eyed and almost a little nervous given what he knows about you. But you get the sense that you're kind of being like purified before entering a space
Ah.
of very like old and delicate artifacts. But inevitably, Thom kind of shouts now as it kind of impacted his hearing a bit. He goes, "Step this way!" Um, and you're let in through the chamber where the walls are lined with shelves, kind of overflowing with those same ancient scrolls and books. And you can look through the floor below to the library and the many landings that you come off of, and you can see the sheer drop to the ground floor where you first entered. Go ahead and make a perception check as you enter.
So, dude, I'm just gonna make a quick comment, Cena. Glad you're not wearing a dress. You said perception rate?
Yes.
22.
You can very quickly see a couple of things, specifically a large, intricate table. It seems to be carved from a single piece of obsidian. It's very dark and reflecting the glow of some orbs that float around it in a semicircle that kind of go around. Seated at the far end, surrounded by like a number of different like kind of open pads of paper and things of that nature, is a rather imposing figure, possibly one of the largest women you've ever seen. She's like a very large back, and she's kind of hunched over. You get the sense from just like perpetually leaning and poring over different volumes. She's kind of developed this bit of a hunchback, but she's very tall, so it's difficult for you to really notice it as she rises as you enter. She has very bronze skin, and she has just a thin strip of hair left atop her head and pulled back into that tight bun. She bears similar tattoos to Thom, although shockingly more intricate and detailed. Um, Immediately next to the desk is this intricate, like it's a series of rings that stack together and oscillate around one another, creating something of a sphere. But they are, in essence, not attached and don't seem to be held up by anything in particular. They're just kind of floating next to her. As you enter the space, she'll be like, "Thank you, Thom. You must be Dunk, the one with the curious affliction that I've heard so much about. You are wise to seek out the Ashenmoor."
Well, I'm just hoping to learn a little bit of information. Or I guess, maybe a bit of a quid pro quo.
Quid pro quo. You were bold to come in here and suggest so willingly and so eagerly. I have not even had the opportunity to introduce myself. My name is Grand Magister
Sure.
Morgana, and your companion.
Oh, yeah. Her name's Cena. She's cool.
Scene kind of waves lightly. Just, hmm. I understand that you seek knowledge. Wild magic is a very volatile force, and those who wield it are to be very carefully studied. Surely you have come to subject yourself to such trials. But here you come
Uh,
saying that you are the one with questions.
well, I mean, learning more about myself could also help, help me help you, right? Help me help
Hmm.
you, help me help you.
Ah, quid pro quo, you only wish to learn more about yourself so that we may learn more about you as well, and perhaps the inner machinations of the one called Dunk.
We'll start there and see how our relationship goes. But yeah.
What do you
Oh,
know?
and how hot is she?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. She's a 10. She's fairly old. She's one of the older Eladrin that you've seen, to the point where, like, where most of them bear kind of striking features of youth. That has clearly started to be lost on her. She's developing the crow's feet. Her hair, that little remains, is much more gray than dark. And she has these kind of like white eyes. They're not milky in nature, but they are like almost fully white, where she has no like recognizable or discernible pupils. So she
Hmm.
does have some interesting characteristics that you kind of notice as she kind of steps along around the desk and coming closer towards you. You seek out the Ashenmoor for its histories, no doubt. Or is there something else that has brought you to us today? No doubt you have been in Hylasera for some time now.
We have. We've been, around. Messed around in Old Hallow, Lord of the Wild Hunt deal. Um, but yeah. We are here for the foreseeable future.
I see.
Hopefully not too long, but
Well, Lord Dunk, you will find that the whatever benefits of your courtly standing you feel welcome to will not help you here. The Ashenmoor rises above the courts. We are little need for it. We protect the world's knowledge. We write it down, learn it, and protect the world from the knowledge it is not yet ready for. And thus, we transcend the need of courts. We simply find ourselves in Hylasera as it is perhaps one of the most welcoming of our mandate. But courts do not hold any. We do not hold any subject to the courts.
hmm. Remind me a lot of this other fellow that we ran into, Voss. You heard of him?
Make an insight check.
Oh yeah, 14.
Um, she's pretty difficult to read, but she does kind of like glare at you a little longer after you make that statement. And she goes, the Drakenvoss does not subscribe to the manner in which we decide to handle information and knowledge. We firmly
Oh,
believe that not all information is for the mortal mind.
to be clear, this is a much more upscale, better operation than what he's got. Just
Yes.
that curator of knowledge,
Yes.
outside of the courts. Um,
Yes. As my understanding, Mr. Voss is also wary of the Lexi Conclave's intrusions into any work that he might be doing. But rest assured, the Lexi Conclave, in all of its power and all of its will, learns everything eventually.
Good to know. By the way, we hate that guy. So,
Hmm. That is wise of you. So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself? This affliction and what it entails.
well, at the moment, it's not something that I can just super easily bring about control. Uh, Usually, when I get pretty angry, it just sort of erupts and happens.
Hmm.
Um, within that rage, I can kind of uh, occasionally react to things around me and manipulate it a bit, but I still can't like fully control it. Um, Started out by total accident, and yeah, way
Excellent.
back when we were feels like forever ago. Back on the material plane.
You are not from here.
Oh no, no.
And when you say
Um,
by accident, it manifested as a child.
No, not as a child. Fairly recently. Um,
Recently.
yeah, doing a job. I'll just come out and say it because since y'all don't care about the courts, y'all probably don't really care about the law either. Stealing some stuff. Um,
Yes, if I may
and
interrupt. And she's going to kind of
yes.
pull out a small padfolio from within her many robes and start to jot things down with a pen that she seems to kind of conjure in her hand. Um, and she will goes, I would advise you to spare no detail. In the matter of study and science, everything is important to know.
Hmm. Stealing some rocks from this dude. Honestly, don't really know a whole lot about him.
Mm.
Uh,
Don't you know much about the dude or the rocks?
both.
Hmm.
Um, and we came into some fire, running away, and I was attacked by these mages and just kind of fell, and it seemed like I just sort of fell through some sort of hole in the world and came out singed and burned, and it just sort of happened.
Fascinating. It sounds as though you stumbled through realities.
More or less. I mean, as from what I've learned about it since then, yeah. Somehow I fell between planes,
Hmm.
but I didn't even really know what a plane was at the time.
Yes, it is our understanding at the Lexi Conclave that the humanity and mortals of the material do not largely acknowledge, understand, or even pay any awareness to the reality of the planes. She will kind of step around and gesture to the spherical kind of tool that's oscillating beside her desk. Just the planes stack on top of one another. In some cases, they are parallel entirely, mirrors of one another, though odd or estranged to someone who's not from there. For instance, where you find yourself now is above, and a peculiar and queer representation of the material plane. So below, dark, filled with shadow. But there is more, ones that oscillate all around us, breaking off like branches on a tree. They are not parallel, nor are they mirrors, but rather different places altogether, vestiges of a time when worlds were created and fallen in moments. There is order and structure to keep people from going between them. However, it would appear, in some cases, such as yourself, that you have managed to find one of the very few pockets where that order and structure breaks down. This is far more common among the mirrored planes, the Fae, the material, and the shadow. I would consider yourself lucky that you did not stumble into the shadow, as it is much harder to return.
All I know about it, yeah, yeah, I'm glad it was this one.
And from what you say, you returned to the material almost instantaneously,
Felt like it to me.
and now find yourself imbued with these abilities.
Yeah, I've very slowly learned to, like I said, get a little bit more control over it as we go, but it is also very slowly. It seems to be killing me every time it happens.
Fascinating. Do tell me more about that.
Uh, when I finally snap out of the rage and uh, kind of start to calm down, it just every now it doesn't happen every time, but sometimes it's just like a pain throughout my body that is unlike anything else I've ever experienced.
Hmm.
Um,
The very magic of the planes passing through your body.
yeah, that would make sense.
This is most peculiar and quite unique, if you don't mind my saying. If you don't mind my asking once more, what brought you to Ashenmoor? Surely you have questions and you seek answers, but you learned of us and came to us.
Did. Well, it just sort of seemed like I don't know. Y'all know a lot, but I don't know how much y'all really know about certain things going on in the world. And I think I'm going to need every bit of knowledge about myself to be as strong as possible to save my friends.
So you seek strength and not necessarily a cure.
Yeah, I think this could be something that could be very helpful, but I need to be able to. I need to know more about it.
This is highly irregular. You seek a greater understanding, though you seek it for power, not for the sanctity of yourself, but the sanctity of others. Intriguing.
Well, I mean, saving the world will also save my hide, so that's a bonus.
But it is killing you.
Yeah,
Hmm.
eventually.
I can offer you an alternative. Some knowledge is too dangerous, dangerous for anyone to possess. But perhaps she kind of thinks for just a moment in silence. Perhaps allowing you to proceed unimpeded only presents a greater danger both to yourself and to others. Together, we may be able to unlock the secrets of your power, perhaps even harness it. Allow me to study your condition in a controlled environment. There are a couple of things that we could do today, even, so that we might understand the baseline of where you are. And there is likely someone that would be recommended for you to meet, though the status of his condition is very different from your own.
Mm. I'm willing to see what y'all have got. Um, I'm willing to give it y'all a chance, but I need to know that if I end up having to call it off, y'all aren't going to go after my friends.
Go after whom?
Surely, if you know about me, you have to know about our little gang, little crew.
I am only aware of you so far as 10 minutes ago, when we first learned, or rather when Thom informed me of your arrival. We had heard whispers of an individual who could wield wild magic, but I assure you that our pursuit of knowledge is not so insatiable that we do not allow people to live their lives.
Gonna glance at Sina, shrug, and be like, "All right, well, let's see it."
Very well. Um, and she will invite you to kind of step outside. She goes, I'd advise you to wait on the landing while I have some things prepared.
Uh, by all means.
Okay. As you step out onto the landing once more and kind of leave her to her machinations within, Cena will look at you and just be like, are you good with being studied like a bug?
Um, for the moment, yeah. Um, this other patient is a little worrisome. Like, what did they do to make him so volatile that they have to lock him up? I don't know, but for now, I'll play ball. and
And the secret files? She kind of whispers.
maybe we can, as we walk through the place, to wherever they're going to take us, let's keep an eye out, see if anywhere that looks a bit more of a restricted access kind of place.
After about like 20 minutes of waiting, Morgana will exit the office. And just very well, follow me, and start to lead you downstairs, or rather back downstairs. Thom follows a bit of a distance behind. Um, he had kind of like gone off to another landing, and as he sees you passing, because the stairwell is very public, and you can see the whole facility kind of from the stairwell. So I'll go ahead and have you make a perception check if you're going to look for kind of the road less traveled.
Yeah. 10.
Hmm. You don't really notice anything out of the ordinary as you descend, but what you do see is a staircase near the bottom, which is just like you've only seen up. You have no idea what goes down.
Okay.
Um, Inevitably, about like halfway between her office and the ground floor, Morgana will step off, and lead you into one of the hallways that kind of snakes off towards the outer ring of the Ashenmoor, and then inevitably into a small doorway that opens into a. It looks like a psych ward. I mean, for lack of a better term, it is a fully white, windowless room that almost has like a silent hum to it, where you can feel like the energy of the room. And she goes, with any luck, the suppression of this room will inhibit any of the ill effects that you might experience as you go about your searches. But first, I've had this brought up from the archives. And two stewards will kind of wheel in. You hear like the of a very creaky wheel on like one of those carts that they push TVs into children's elementary school rooms. And in is pulled in a slate of black and almost like perfectly sheen obsidian, not unlike the desk that she had in her own office. They kind of like place it up against the wall, do a light bow to the Grand Magister, and step out. And Morgana will step in front of the slate, blocking it from your view largely. Just behind me is the obsidian mirror. It reflects not only your physical appearance, but everything within. I want you to focus on your rage as you enter into one. And I want to hopefully, ideally, trigger a reaction so that I might see just how your body reacts to the surge of wild magic within. I will, however, ask you one question. You say that the rages are inhibiting your abilities over time, and it is an immense amount of pain. Do you have any means by which you currently regulate the pain or make yourself more capable of handling it?
Uh, I do have this belt that was given to me by the asshole Dragon Voss. Um,
Hmm.
that seems to help, at least mitigates effects sometimes.
This is most irregular. I will have you remove the belt so that we may experience the condition in its true state.
Um, okay. And I will unclip it. Um,
She will kind of wave her hand, revealing a glass room that you did not notice was actually part of the chamber that you were now within, and escort herself and Sina into it. And you can kind of hear her voice ringing in the chamber despite seeing her on the other side of the glass. Very well, whenever you'd like.
all right. I'm gonna kind of focus, and I'm gonna open my eyes and like they kind of go white, and I will go into a rage. Let's see. I just had it. And then as I do, which is very odd in this big metal like stone tower, flowers and vines are gonna shoot out from me and like uh I guess one like wraps around maybe the obsidian mirror.
Okay. So I will have you make a perception check as you do so.
It is also difficult terrain for my enemies
Okay.
within 15 feet of me, if that matters. 11.
Okay. You're kind of too distracted by the power surging through you as the flowers and vines erupt out of you and wrap themselves around the black slate in front of you. But just for a moment, as you kind of glance up at your reflection in the mirror, you see like multiple versions of yourself in different shades of color kind of erupt off of you and shoot off in different directions. And you can almost see the veins of your blood kind of twisting and wrapping like vines themselves before you're immediately like your eyes shut as you're kind of distracted by the energy flowing through you. And you hear once again her voice goes, fascinating. You become one with the parallel planes. This is irregular. And I will have you make a constitution saving throw as you come down from the rage.
Let's see. Let's see. So dirty 20.
Okay. So you are able to surpass the urge and kind of the pain and will it, and you'll hear Morgana's voice once more. She goes, is that it? Is that the pain that you experience?
Uh, yeah, it's sometimes it's worse,
Your
but
receptors were firing. Just an incredible amount of energy. Intriguing. Now, of the conditions that you've found in the room, these vines and flowers, is this how it manifests every time?
no, it can be just earlier today when I was showing Thumb. Sometimes my weapon will glow and I can throw it and bring it back. Um,
Just how many variations or experiences do you tend to witness?
8
Intriguing.
so far.
So, in reality, there is a circumstance where it is both wild but predictable.
A little bit, yeah.
Intriguing. Okay, the next part might be uncomfortable. Are you comfortable with an additional experiment?
Let's hear it. Yeah.
Terrific. And before you're really given an opportunity to answer, um, you kind of see her hands passing against the glass, like a wax on, wax off scenario. And these kind of like rotating rings of runes form in the floors around you and slash up and immediately kind of like pull your arms down to your side. And you hear Sina kind of yelp in the other room. She goes, pay no mind. It is just meant to trigger an episode. Are you quite comfortable?
You said comfortable?
Yes.
No.
Well,
No, not at all.
don't worry. It's just a brief endeavor. If you'd like to enter the rage again, I'm going to see if I can trigger additional volatility.
I will. Struggling against the constraints. Uh,
This time you can roll a D100.
ooh. Um, that is 59.
Nice. Okay. As you're standing there and you're like, you can actually like, because you're looking down at your arms as they're restrained and you're kind of pulling them up to your side to rage, and you can see like how difficult and like the runes seem to change color as they attempt to pull your arms further down to the floor. The magic kind of erupts out of them and you're able to shatter one of the runes as your arm, flying out of your fur, are a dozen light ethereal butterflies that seem to swarm around you and inevitably go and kind of slip your hand out of the other gauntlet as well. And for the next 10 minutes, these ethereal butterflies protect you, and all melee attacks against you have disadvantage.
Oh, wow.
So they're kind of
Cool.
floating around you, and fascinating. Has that ever happened before?
No, this is entirely new, and I'm kind of looking at the
Tremendous.
butterflies.
Those runes were unburdening runes. It is a glyph of unbinding. It is meant to trigger some of the more peculiarities of wild magic, and with any luck, you should be able to do this again in the future. For this last one, I will enter, but I will allow these butterflies to subside, just in case they pose any ill will to those who might approach you. So you're kind of forced to stand there for a few minutes, and you kind of look as Sina's like got her thumb, like she's kind of chewing on her nails. Um, and Morgana will exit the glass chamber and pull out a peculiar looking crystal. And she's going to hand it to you. She goes, "This crystal is meant to stabilize the magic, but it is an imperfect process. It might amplify or cause an unexpected reaction. Would you be interested in attempting to channel your magic through it?"
I'm gonna look at Cena, and I'm not exactly worried, but I'm cautious. But I'm kind of like a little bit more optimistic, having seen some like progress, some
Okay.
actual progress in this. Um,
You're
and
welcome to make
I'm
an
gonna
insight check if you'd like
sure
to kind of glean her
see how Cena
intentions.
feels about it. Um, 18.
Yes. So you're kind of looking at Morgana as she's talking about this. Sina still looks pretty visibly worried, but is also like she's not going to intercede. Like if you're feeling comfortable, she's not going to intercede. What you do notice on Morgana is kind of like her eyes are lighting up. Like she hasn't had the opportunity to work with someone of like you, and she's clearly very engaged in what you are doing.
Okay, well I will take the crystal.
Okay, I'm also gonna have you make a Constitution saving throw for the
Oh yeah.
previous rage.
Oh, that is a 9.
Okay. In this case, you kind of double over and like find yourself collapsed to the floor as the butterflies kind of float away, and you find that your hit point maximum has dropped by 5.
Oh wow.
Um, so you're kind of like heaving there for a moment, and Morgana is like standing over you, kind of like wide-eyed, holding the crystal. And she goes, "Fascinating. It would appear that the increased volatility has caused a greater issue.
Yeah, that was really fucking.
Well, I would advise that while we may be able to use this as a force conduit and make it even more powerful, it could also double the pain. The choice is, of course, up to you."
I've come this far. I need to know.
Yes, yes. She will once again step back into the room, and you may roll another D100 as you rage.
Zeros on a D10. Oh, it's 0 because otherwise it would be over 100. Never mind. So that's a 4.
As you're kind of sitting there, you feel almost akin to Randy, because a pair of transparent glass fairy like wings erupt from your back, sending fur in different directions, kind of flying off of you. And you are now able to fly for the next 10 minutes. And they also flash with lights as you are able to take off. You kind of like, as you take off, they flash blue and red.
Cool.
Um, and I will have you make a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, I'm not good at those. 9.
Unfortunately, despite the additional power that kind of erupts off of you and your wings sprouting, the crystal shatters in your hand. And its remnants you deal takes 5 piercing damage as it kind of like shatters in your hand as the energy rattles, and it tries to collect the energy surging off of you and force it into a positive outcome. And go ahead and make an insight check as Morgana kind of runs out of the chamber.
I guess technically I am raging, so if that's
Yeah, it's half
slashing
damage.
damage.
Yeah,
Oh, that is halved. Okay.
yeah.
I'm sorry. So what'd you say?
No, you can have that, so it's only 3 damage.
Oh, okay, cool.
And you can make an insight check as Morgana exits the glass chamber.
Insight. 17.
She looks very visibly disappointed. She kind of like picks up one of the shards and studies it and rubs it between her fingers until it kind of grounds to a fine powder. A positive result, but not the one we were hoping for.
Mm.
Perhaps if we find another if you don't mind, I need time to think. I would have you go meet Elias. Perhaps you can tell me what you think of him. And by the time you've met him, perhaps I will have additional experiments for us to conduct.
Uh, that. Yeah, I guess we'll talk to Elias. I'm gonna kind of like put my hand on Sina's shoulder and kind of brace for what I know is about to happen.
Okay, so go ahead and make a Constitution saving throw.
Actually, 16.
Okay, that's enough. And you do not experience the ill effects of your condition, but you are also able to put your belt back on. The success of the unbinding runes, however, do mean that you have access to a 100 result table of wild magic surges that I will share with you. Yes. Okay. Morgana will kind of stay there and kind of squat down on the ground. You can't even see her head beyond the hunch of her back as she kind of like leans down and stares at the remnants of the crystal. Um, and she kind of like grinds some of it with her feet and then pulls a flask out from her robes and starts to kind of dust some of it into it. She like looks over and she goes, "Very well. Thom will escort you there."
I know I'm not really in the as I've been described. I'm not really in the question asking state. But what was that crystal? Just out of curiosity.
It is an attempt at a crystal in the attempt to make a conduit for your condition, potentially able to capture and harness so that you have greater control over the outcome.
Yeah, wasn't made of something called Celesite by any chance, was it?
Make an insight check.
10.
She pauses for a moment. Just no, it wasn't. But from your
Okay,
question, I can understand that you have encountered this in the past.
I know of it.
Indeed. And tell me, what do you know of this Salazite?
I'm just gonna tell her. We really don't know a whole lot about it. Um, Shame I've only seen him one couple of times on our travels.
It is an
I'm
incredibly
lying.
rare substance. You can go make a deception check.
Yeah. Uh, 13.
It is an incredibly rare substance, Salazite. Others will call it astrostone. It was formed during the convergence, when planes and realms stacked on top of each other and caused chaos so intense that it bound the very essence of life and energy into a crystalline form. It is incredibly ancient and incredibly rare, and it bears imperceivable powers to the point where it is quite dangerous. Many known stores have been destroyed. If there is something that you know, it would be advisable to tell me. History suggests that it could prove quite useful for somebody with your condition.
Well, I was keeping this from you earlier, but I'm gonna pull out a little chunk, one of the little chunks that I have from the lobes.
Where did you find such a thing?
We found this in the uh, old city of the Lobes underneath Old Hallow. Old Hallow?
Yes,
No, that wasn't Old Hallow.
it was.
It was Old Hallow?
Mhm.
Okay. Oh, that's right, because, yeah.
You speak of things that are completely unknown to almost the entire population.
We have a way of finding these things, yeah.
That is most irregular and incredibly dangerous knowledge for someone of your ilk to possess. What makes you think you are worthy to maintain its defense?
Uh, we are, let's just say we're pretty capable.
Do you understand what you have in your possession?
A little bit better now.
I need time to think. How much of that do you have?
Mm. Enough that I can spare this, and I'm going to flick it over to her.
Thank you. You hear Sina kind of go, mm." um, and then quickly kind of quiets down. And Morgana will kind of take the rock and roll it over in her hands. Fascinating. Would you be up for one more experiment? You say you have more of this?
It's hidden, but yes,
Attempt the
not
same
much.
thing, holding this rock.
Wait, I'm sorry, what was that?
I'd like you to attempt the same thing that we just did,
Oh,
while holding this stone.
okay. I'll take it back from her,
And she and Sina will proceed into the glass chamber.
and I will, uh, I'll try it.
Okay. Go ahead and have you make a wisdom saving throw as you do it.
Okay. Wisdom saving throws a 12.
Okay. Um, and then a D100.
67.
Oh, shit. Okay. As you rage, you can once again almost see the versions of yourself as you kind of glitch and the magic bursts off of you in different directions. And one of those versions of yourself kind of fully separates, and an illusory copy of yourself appears, and it mirrors your actions in every way. Like you're looking at a mirror, though it is like more faded and purple in color. So you can kind of like see through Dunk too, and
Mm-hmm.
it everything is in like a shade of purple, almost like a duotone. Um, you get the sense that this might be a very helpful ally to have in a fight, and that it might run off to a creature that you view as an enemy, and explode, dealing 3d10 force damage in a 20-foot radius. But since there is no enemy, it will run to you and immediately force itself back into you. Um, yes. However, the Celestite in your hand shatters just the same as the crystal prior has. And you do have your belt back on, so you can make your Constitution saving throw with your belt.
17.
Okay, you are all set. Morgana exits the room almost kind of furiously. Just, that was Celestite, was it not? You're not lying to me, boy.
That was.
And yet still it shatters in your hands. Did you feel anything? Question anything?
Uh, no, everything I did was the same as before.
And he sits there and studies for a second and tries to pick up some of the bits. They don't grind up the same way that the previous crystal has. It kind of rests in her hands, just smaller, and it rolls over. Thumb, take them to meet Elias. Return them to my office when they're done. I need time to think. And you are more quickly escorted out of this particular chamber.
Okay.
Um, as you do so, Thom kind of leads you along the ring and back down the narrow flight to another landing a few stories down. Um, but on your walk, Thom kind of hesitates, and he goes, "Did you learn anything?"
A bit.
"Hmm. The Conclave is well equipped to handle unique cases such as yourselves, but I had not seen the Grand Magister that frustrated before."
Hmm. Well, I broke one of her rocks, and it looked like a really nice rock.
Hmm.
It was an accident, but I
Understood.
think she's a little upset about that.
As you talk, you kind of walk down a quiet, kind of dimly lit hallway. The air gets a lot colder as you see like a number of doors with narrow slots kind of at an eye level. Most of them are currently closed, and each door seems to be aligned with kind of almost like dimly glowing runes, not unlike the ones that you saw in the floor that kind of lashed up to grab you. Um, Thom leads you towards this kind of heavy wooden door, like many of the others. But make a perception check.
That is 11. No, hang on.
They
Sorry, 15.
well, 13?
15.
15. Yeah, they look different in the sense in comparison to some of the other rooms where they're a bit brighter. And there seems to be a fair number more of them. And Thom kind of hesitates slightly as he kind of reaches down to the doorknob and he goes, "The young lad is most irregular. I would advise you not to spend too much time in the room." And with that, he will open the door, revealing a small room bathed in a soft silver light. At the center lies a frail figure who you assume to be Elias on a simple bed. His skin is quite pale, and it's got like kind of wisps of green and gold light that occasionally kind of flash off in different directions. And he, as it does, so it kind of shifts between like pain and then just sheer exhaustion. Beside him, tending to a box that kind of lets off a faint glow, similar to that of the crystal that Morgana exposed to you, actually. It's a gentle looking woman in modest robes. She bears the same kind of like pulled back, shaved head, and her tattoos are much lighter and less dense than some of the ones that you've seen up until this point, including that of Thom. And she looks up at you as you enter. She looks a bit like kind of looks at you oddly as you enter. And she goes, "Good day. Might I ask who you are?"
I'm Dunk. I'm gonna hold out a hand to shake.
"Oh, it would be inadvisable for us to touch in this space." "Yes. I don't suppose you would mind my asking why you've decided to visit Elias?"
Um,
The boy has never received visitors outside of the Lexi Conclave before.
I think that the two of us might greatly benefit from having somebody that to talk to that is like them.
"You bear his affliction." And she kind of looks you up and down. She goes, "You don't look it, though I suppose looks can be deceiving."
Well, I don't know. Maybe I just haven't yet had it long enough to leave physical effects, but I guarantee you it's there.
Shh. The boy is very weak. He doesn't speak very much. But if you do bear his affliction and you think it would be beneficial, I will not stop you. But if you don't mind, I'd like to stay. I'm the only one that cares for him.
Yeah, if it would make him feel more comfortable, then sure.
Indeed,
I didn't realize there's a boy.
it would make me feel more comfortable as well. You kind of walk over to Elias as the woman who has not yet introduced herself kind of steps away, but eyes you closely as you approach the bed. Cena kind of walks around to the other side as well, so you're kind of like both standing over the bed. Um, Again, he looks very pale, and his body is very weak and frail, where he doesn't seem to have much like fat or muscle on him. And make a perception check.
18.
You see his lips mumbling something. Um, and you kind of lean in to hear. The child kind of grumbles, his eyes shut. Storm is a beast with no leash, yet in the eye calm dwells. To bind the tempest, one must first stand in the quiet. He doesn't often make sense when he speaks. He's been through quite a lot.
Elias, have you seen this tempest?
And for the first time, the boy kind of opens his eyes, and he looks at you and he kind of blinks as he kind of adjusts to the light. Uh, I know the tempest well. I see the storm in you, but you you look stronger than me. And you see like a faint smile kind of crack across his face, to which the woman behind you kind of coos a little bit. She goes, "Oh,
Well, eat your veggies, and maybe one day you will be too.
hmm. I don't know how much longer I'll be around here. Maybe someday."
Maybe someday. Um, how how long have you been up here?
He kind of rolls over and again starts to wince as like magic starts to kind of flow out of him. And as the energy kind of ricochets off, you can see the runes around his bed start to glow ever brighter. Um, and the woman will speak. She's, the runes are a special design of the Grand Magister. They ensure that the magic is suppressed, but unfortunately not the pain. Elias arrived to us about 18 months ago. No clerics could see to it that he was made well again. From what I understand, he suffered the affliction his entire life. Well, almost his whole life.
Um, does so hmm. Elias, I feel this pain a lot too. So I think I'm uniquely equipped to say that I know this sucks,
Mm.
and I wish you didn't have to deal with this being so young.
And how do you deal with it?
Um, Honestly, I just kind of muscle through it. I don't really have a great way to make it better. I mean, sometimes it's worse than others.
And how did it happen to you?
Um, well, there was a time when I was kind of a bad dude. and I was taking things from other people, things that didn't belong to me, selling them, just trying to get by with my little band of mates back in the day. And anyway, tried taking something from the wrong people and got in a fight. I just tried to running away. Honestly, I just kind of stumbled into a hole, and here we are, totally by accident.
You stumbled into a hole, so you've been to the plane, the other plane, the outer planes.
Where I'm from, man, this is an outer plane to me.
I
This place
dream.
is wild.
I dream of them sometimes. Places I've
Yeah,
never seen, places far in the dark. Maybe that's where we're supposed to be.
sometimes I feel like it's where maybe I deserve to be, but I got things to do around here first.
Yeah.
Um, but you say you've seen other planes. You've dreamed of them. Where I come from, there's a lot of shit, but there's also some pretty cool, beautiful places. So hopefully, some of your dreams are of those.
They're of dark places. Not bad places. Just where you can't see. I think I could walk forever there.
When I walked in, you were talking about a storm. Uh, what do you know? Can you tell me any more about that?
It's just a thought I have. Let the quiet at the eye of something. Where the tempest is all around you, but you stand at its center. You give something up to get there. It's just this thought I have. But what more could I give? It's taken my mind and body.
Elias, I want you to have this. I'm gonna unclip the belt with Warren. I'm gonna put it around him. It's a little comically large, uh, and say, "This doesn't take away the pain, but sometimes it makes it a little bit better. I
um,
think you've earned it."
you hear a faint squeak. You kind of turn around to see the woman kind of press her hand to her face. And she just kind of looks at you and just, you speak kind to him and true. Who are you?
I'm just a dude trying to make some of the shitty parts of the world a little bit better for the people that serve it. And my boy here's been through it.
That boy is only sick because of what they've done to him. And you'll notice that her tone gets a bit more hushed. The experiments, they don't help him, they make him worse. They think they can control the magic, but they don't understand it. Not really. Morgana doesn't care about Elias, and if you've agreed to anything, she definitely doesn't care about you. She only cares about what she can learn.
How do we get him out?
There's no getting him out of here. His parents want him here. They think he's safer here. But there is something. The belt will help, if you say it will. If you've been here, clearly it does something. But there are records, sealed away, that speak of another who suffered like you too. I've petitioned Morgana time and again since I've been in his care to open them so that we might understand anything. That perhaps she'll kind of pull you to the other side of the room. And I hope you don't mind me saying, sir, that perhaps you're not meant for this world. That a life in the realm eternal after this is better than a life of eternal pain. The boy speaks in riddles, he speaks of nightmares, he speaks of places we've never seen. Surely there is life better than this, and if there are things that could tell us that, why they won't unlock them, I do not know. I understand the Conclave protects knowledge, but if there's knowledge that can do good right now, why don't we? Why don't we access it?
Yeah. Do you have any idea where these records might be in this tower?
Anything that would be kept out of the realm of mortal knowledge is kept in the vault of truth. But it's a it would be tantamount to suicide to go there.
Um, done a lot of things I wasn't supposed to come out the other side of, so if it can mean better for him, then
The
I
gods
gotta
have
at least try.
the gods have blessed us. And you say you're not from here.
No, I'm to a plane is a lot different from here.
And yet here you come willing to sacrifice your own skin for a boy you've met of 10 minutes.
I may have only physically known him for 10 minutes, but if he has to go through half the shit I do, it seems like he's got it worse. Then I think I know him pretty damn good.
The woman starts to tear up just a little bit. Um, just, sorry, I haven't even told you my name. I'm Amara. I, I, my first week was the week before they put me in his care. I've done nothing of this order except for his face every day. No one even comes to see him unless they're taking him out to be studied. We don't deserve you, but we need you.
Well, thank you for everything. I'm going to play along with them for a little bit, see if I can figure out where this vault of truth is, how to get
It's
to
in the
it
basement.
in the basement. Okay.
We're not allowed down there. We were told where it was specifically so that we don't go down there. The Lexi Conclave is secretive, but it's not moronic. People will be guarding it.
Well,
They
the
are,
two of us are
however,
pretty sneaky.
well, that's good because they're blind.
Interesting.
The Conclave has their eyes removed, as they are the only ones that are able to enter the Vault of Truth. And they must not see what's within. But because of that, they hear everything.
Okay. Well, in the meantime, do what you can to keep him comfortable.
That will
Um,
help.
and we will uh and we'll do what we can. I'm gonna walk over to Elias, and I'm going. God, so I, I have this listed in my inventory. It's the it's the water from the moon and mirror, but I have it listed in my inventory as Gamer Girl bathwater.
Hmm.
So I can
Sure.
remember her name. So I'm going to let him have a little sip of that.
Well, drinking it is even weirder. um, Elias kind of like you can already see as you approach him that the belt has alleviated some of the like it's clearly strengthened his constitution and will. Where he's like when the bouts happen, he doesn't like he doesn't wince quite so much, and he seems to be more rested when the bouts are not happening. And as he kind of lifts his head up to drink, he kind of takes it in, and his eyes kind of brighten, and he looks up at you, and he goes, "I know your face, and I'll see it again.
Why did you say that?
I've seen your face before." Sina kind of go like her hand instinctively like to the edge of her belt. And she just goes, that's the thing, right?"
Yeah, I'm gonna back away slowly. I'm gonna not. I'm gonna eyes fixed on Elias. Gonna look over or
He
kind
looks at
of.
you kind of like confused. He says, "Is everything all right? I've seen you come to me in the dreams."
Hmm. Well, hopefully they were the better dreams. Uh, and I'm gonna loosen up a little bit. Where have you heard that phrase before?
You said it to Amara.
I'm gonna ask Elias now.
Oh, uh,
Uh,
no.
hmm.
I'm just. You look familiar to me.
Have you seen other people's faces in your dreams?
I see people sometimes.
She look familiar? I'm gonna kind of nod at Sina.
No, I've seen a lot of strangers. People I don't recognize. Tall, funny faces. They kind of look like me, but different, you know?
Yeah. Okay. Well, Elias, you've been more helpful than I think you know.
Amara kind of looks at you. Everything all right?
Uh, just keep him comfortable. Keep him safe.
Understood.
Um, and I have a, I'm gonna hand over a +1 dagger to her. Um,
Weapons are not allowed in the Ashenmoor.
would you feel comfortable holding onto this just in case some shit goes down?
What kind of shit? I've never wielded a weapon before.
Well, I just, that's just kind of our go-to. Like I said, I was on him. We not always the best people.
I,
But
if I'm caught with that, I won't be able to take care of him anymore.
well, if it makes you feel better, then I'll just hold on to it.
Yeah,
Uh, but okay, well, I guess just do what you can to keep him safe. You're the only person here that I really trust. So,
I could say the same about you.
um, good. Uh, All right, Cena. I guess
Sina
let's
hasn't really broken eye contact from Elias.
yeah. Um,
We're just gonna let that go.
I mean,
Where's this kid from? She kind of turns to Amara again, and Amara like, looks up hastily from a box which you can now see holds a lot of the crystal that you were first handed.
okay.
And she'll just go, uh, his he was born in Old Hallow.
Mm, born in
Well,
Old Hallow.
why
Do
does
you
it
know?
matter?
Uh, do you know what happened to his family?
They're living outside the city, if I'm not mistaken. Manifested when he was a child. Kept having nightmares.
Um, Elias, did you ever go exploring as a kid around Old Hollow? How much do you remember from your time at Old Hollow?
I mean, I was a kid. I was sick pretty early. I used to have, one day I just started having nightmares and it wouldn't go away. And one day I woke up from the nightmare just like trying to run away and escape from it. And it erupted out of me. I blew up the wing of my house, set it on fire.
Hmm. Do you remember anything else odd about your childhood?
No,
No, like strange people coming and talking to you, or
no.
strange events happening around Old Hollow?
I mean, nothing unusual more than usual. It's a weird place.
Fair. It is a strange place. Um, never heard anybody else say that phrase in particular. I've seen your face.
I'm sorry, it was just something I said. You look familiar to me.
Hmm. Well, yes, that's it then.
That's it then.
Cena, do you have anything you wanted
No, Sina kind of
to
just
ask
goes,
me?
that's it then. She eases up a little bit, but for the most part is still pretty on edge.
Okay. Well, stay safe, stay as cool and quiet as you can, and I'll see what I can do about the vault.
Thank you.
And I'll step out of the room and see if is Morgana still around? Or
Morgana wasn't with you, but Thom is there to
Tom is
escort you back. Um, returning to Grand Magister Morgana's office.
um, yeah, I guess for now. Um, Thom, do you have you interacted much with Elias?
No, the boy is below my station. I am an individual who tends to the libraries, ensures that visiting scholars, such as yourself, are well taken care of.
Scholar now. Um, okay, well, uh, it's a good kid. Um,
Yes,
what's
as I
best for
understand it, the boy is quite ill and is unlikely to survive much longer. The Ashenmoor provides a valuable service to families in need. You will find that when traditional healing does not apply, the like of clerics and paladins, families and the ill will come to the Ashenmoor, where they find that in a world of gods and men of science are the ones that can provide the best ailment.
you? Well, I guess we got to learn everything from something, right?
Indeed, they are subjected to light study, while we are given the gift of knowledge that we might learn from said study. Everybody wins. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. And he'll kind of like
What do these?
point out a number of rooms along the way. Recently, not all of these are occupied, but many bear afflictions of various kind, irregular poisons, a fever, things that we have not yet seen in the world that at the moment escape the traditional means of treatment that a local cleric might be able to provide. When there are no more answers, people come to the Ashenmoor to create them.
Mm, Um, I'm gonna peek my head into one of these little rooms.
Make an investigation check.
10.
As you walk past one, you try to like quickly steal a glance in. What you believe you see is an individual like fully overgrown in fungi, but you are walking past it too quickly to really notice much more.
Mm. These people being studied, they like agree to this?
They consent that they have no other option, and again they consent to experimentation so that we might inevitably find a cure, though not all are lucky. But the more people who arrive at the Ashenmoor and gift us with their ailments, the more likely we are to prevent and solve these things in the future. There is no question the Ashenmoor can't answer. It is more a question of whom is deserving of that knowledge.
I mean, I think anybody would be deserving. Anybody that needs help.
It is that type of mentality that puts the world at a greater risk. Just because an answer exists does not mean that it is feasible for everyone to know it.
Well, agree to disagree for now.
Hmm.
Maybe you'll convince me.
Indeed, I need not convince you. This place stands a testament to that very fact. People flock from all over the realm to come here. People flock from all over the realm to study here. Many are turned away. Most must prove themselves to become stewards and scribes of the Ashenmoor. The Lexi Conclave is a far-reaching organization. We headquarter here, but we have eyes everywhere, so that we may learn everywhere. After some time, you are brought back to the Grand Magister Morgana's office and subjected to the same uh, gust of wind, and I will have you make a Constitution check if you do not subject yourself to covering your ears. And don't forget that you no longer have your belt of Gormoran.
Right. Um, I'm going to, hmm, having seen what it is now I will cover my ears.
Got it. Okay, so you are able to enter the Grand Magister's office, and she will look up from her desk where she kind of has like a number of crystals kind of spread out before her. Just, well, did you learn anything?
Um, I learned that he is a really good kid, and that I feel very sorry for this state.
Yes, that's all well and good, but perhaps being in close proximity to someone who bears your affliction might have triggered some sort of understanding that you did not have previously. I understand you two are different. Yours seems to have manifested from passing through the planes, whereas his seems to have more divined, or rather he was born with it, or perhaps it manifested at an early age. We do not yet know the cause of how some of these afflictions are created, but we understand them to be as volatile and different as the condition itself.
Yeah, it did seem like his, from what he said, uh, just sort of naturally happened. Um, what kind of experiments were you running on?
We subjected him to the similar experimentation that we ran upon you, and we shall continue if you're interested.
Where are these experiments to take place?
Presume in the room that we did them in previously. You are, of course, welcome to stay, as we've had a bit of a long day. And you are welcome to quarter here with your companion. We can resume promptly tomorrow morning.
Hmm. Yeah, maybe that would be best. What
I
kind
would
of quarters do you
advise you that the rules of the Ashenmoor and the Lexi Conclave apply to its guests as well. Information of the library is restricted only to stewards and scribes of the Lexi Conclave. You are guests here, and you will remain here until such a time that you no longer wish to remain here. You are, of course, free to go at any time, but know that if you do leave, you retire yourself of our services. You may not come and go as you please.
have? Well, then perhaps a night to think things over. Uh,
Very well.
be good.
Yes. Thumb will show you to your quarters. I remind you again, the library and anything outside of your quarters are off limits, unless you are escorted there by a member of the Lexi Conclave.
Understood.
Very well. And with that, she kind of shoos you away. Um, and Thom will escort you towards a lower level. It's the lowest you've been to up until this point that isn't the ground floor. And you see a fair number of people who bear similar tattoos to that of Amara, who are like much more faint, much less dense. These are clearly where novices or new people and members of the Lexi Conclave may come and live. And you find that your quarters are really no more than a closet and a cot and a small chamber pot, and that the Lexi Conclave does not necessarily look too fondly upon guests or its novices to afford them greater quarters.
Uh, I'm gonna pick up the chamber pot, kind of like turn it over to look at it, drop on the ground. Thanks. Looks great.
Thom will nod, and my lady, yours is across the hall, and will gesture to an equally small closet room across the hall from you. And Sina kind of nods and kind of stands in the doorway of hers while looking at you inquisitively.
Um, I mean, thanks for showing us here. I'm sure they're quite ready to like retire. We'll probably just like hang out here, um,
Hmm.
chit chat.
Fair enough. Understand that the rules of the Grand Magistrate apply here, and to guests as well as novices. And he will nod, look at you a bit over his shoulder, and then walk away.
Once they're out of earshot. All right. Well, so we're here.
We are here. We're staying? Or is this a clever ruse?
Working that out. What kind? What all is? Are there like sheets on the bed?
Yes,
Uh,
there are
okay.
indeed sheets.
So, and how far away is like the ladder or the stairs to the basement? That like
You
nearby?
came around a very short bend to the kind of like you're on the outer ring where you find yourself in the rooms now. So you're not far from the stairwell that will continue to go down. You're on about the fifth floor now. So it would take you five landings to get down to the floor, the ground floor, and then the basement stairs.
Okay. Um, all right. Well, getting to the basement would be tough. Um, I guess part of my thinking was that if we could take some sheets, like maybe like wrap our feet and wrap kind of our gear in some softer kind of sheets,
That's a good idea.
might help muffle us. Um,
Or Cena kind of points to the very narrow slit window that each of your rooms have. Um, and she kind of goes, "That looks like something that octopus dunk would fit through, and we could make something of a rope to get you down, and then back
That would make
in through the entrance.
you think going just straight back into like the front entrance?
We know it's open.
Yeah, it wasn't locked. Um, that probably would be better than going down the stairs in the middle of the tower, right in the middle of the tower. You can see.
Everyone can see us."
Um, okay. That sounds like a pretty good idea. I'm gonna let's see. I'm gonna do this. Is there anything in the room, like anything else in the room besides like the chamber pot and like the bed?
No, just the bed and the chamber pot.
Okay. Um, I will. All right. So yeah, I'm gonna tell Cena. We'll hang out here. Uh, for an hour or two. Lay low. Um, and then yeah, I bet I can slip through that window
And then what do you
and
want me to
downstairs.
do? Distraction.
Um, let's see. Cena doesn't have any kind of like. Oh, you don't have any kind of like sending stone thing,
I can talk to
right?
Bramwin.
You talk to Bramwin. Um,
Like that's such a bad thing. I understand it doesn't help us right now.
doesn't help us right now. Um, but that's definitely something to keep in mind. I may just need you to lay low, stay out of the way, so that you can call for help if needed. Um, because you're small, but I don't think you can fit through that window.
I
So you're
can't,
probably gonna.
but I could potentially join you downstairs as I may or may not have a potion of invisibility.
Ooh. Actually, wait. How big is this window?
It's big enough for you in your. I can fit into any orifice. That was the wrong word, but
Okay.
yeah.
Um.
It's clearly meant to only let as much light in as possible and let people forget about the outside world. But you, being able to compact your size into any small container, can squeeze through it.
Well, then let's do this. I will. All right. Let's tie the bed sheets together, make a little rope ladder.
Mhm.
Um. I will take out the hither thither staff, schlorp a portal, and then climb down, put another portal.
Dude, that is gangbusters. All right, you manage to undulate and kind of Cena watches and like presses a hand to her mouth as you kind of she hears like subtle cracking and like the popping of joints as you force yourself through the window and then start to shimmy down, taking care to like look around you every now and then to make sure that people aren't like objectively looking at you. But given the hour, you do find that no one's really paying too much attention to the walls of the Ashenmoor, and you are able to get down to the sidewalk, and you make your second portal.
Yeah, I'll make another one down there.
Okay, Cena kind of like somersaults through it. And is like, huh, huh?
Ah,
Great idea.
um, you know what? Just so that we have a escape, why don't I'm gonna put another portal out here, and then from while we're down there, I
Good
can use another
idea.
one
You
to.
have to stay within how far?
I believe it's a long distance. It's like 1,500 feet. What? Uh,
It's like a quarter of a mile.
1,500 feet.
Okay, so it's like a
1,500
quarter
feet.
of a mile. Um, Cena's like, okay, okay. Maybe we do it like right on the side of the building, like in an alleyway. and then that way we know we're going down. If only we had a rock that told us how deep down we were, so we knew that it would be safe. But I'm sure this will be fine.
A rock?
Like a geomancer's glyph. Brahman had the opportunity to buy one, but she didn't. I thought it was pretty dumb, but now I'm realizing why that
Hmm.
would be helpful.
Would be helpful in this particular instance.
Yeah, but we'll just have to
Thanks,
risk it.
Brandon.
Yeah, thanks,
Yeah.
Brandon.
Uh, and all right then. Yeah. Let's get sneaky.
Okay. So
Um,
you're going to stealth back into the building?
yes,
Okay.
I am pretty stealthy.
Sorry, one sec. I'm looking at Sina's character sheet. Okay. Oh, yeah. She basically turns like invisible. You can barely see
Nice.
her. All right, go ahead and make your roll.
17.
Okay. As you enter, there's like the door kind of like as it pushes open. But as you kind of, while it echoes through the Ashenmoor chamber, despite the hour, there is quite a few people in the library area. But because of the sheer volume of bookcases and you're able to kind of navigate around the ground floor with relative ease. And people seem to be kind of too locked into the thing that they're doing to pay you much of any mind. And you're able to reach the stairs that lead further down. Um, and you can kind of see that they wind down, similar to the stair that winds up, where it kind of keeps the same tower shape further down. But as you approach, go ahead and make an investigation check um, as you approach the staircase.
18.
You spot as you walk along the outer ring to the staircase, kind of like part of the wall that's been turned into a complete cork board of different scribes like posting questions and different pieces of parchment that seem to inquire about like, hey, I need a translation on this and I don't know the language. Has anyone ever seen a copy of this book? I'm not able to find it. And it's clearly like a public help board specifically for members of the Ashenmoor. And as you kind of go around, one of them catches your eye that feels unusual. It literally looks like a missing poster, like a milk carton poster for someone that's missing. Specifically, as you kind of stop and linger and look at it, it bears the name. Sorry, Tiberius Blackwood. And a crude drawing of a person who unfortunately looks a heck of a lot like the many other people that you've seen in this place because they are bald in Eladrin and have tattoos on their head. But they're clearly one of the more senior members. They have very intricate tattoos upon their head, and they're very close together. And what was I going to say? They look a bit older, where they kind of show like they don't have the same vestiges of youth.
Okay.
Hold on, Dad. My dad's at Costco. Do we need anything?
I was actually just thinking about something I wanted from like Costco the other day, but I don't remember what it is.
You should get the little
Um,
chocolate bites that are like they're like
Chocolate
almost
chip?
like a brownie, but they're coated in like a cocoa powder. They're so good. You can get like bulk boxes there. They are so good.
I can't hear what he said.
hang on a second. So
Okay.
he's saying something about like these like chocolate bites that are like they're
Here,
like
I'm
kind
putting
of
you on
brownie.
speaker.
Yeah, hang on. Let me just do this for a second.
Hey, Laura.
Evan's playing D&D right now, and his DM has a suggestion for something we need.
Okay, I just put it on my TV speaker.
Okay, so they're
So
like I can't remember the name of them, but they're these little chocolate balls, and they're like a brownie, but they're more like a cross between a brownie and a what's the other like really chocolate pastry thing. Either way, they have a chocolate dusting on
we got
them,
truffle.
like they're truffles. That's it. They're truffles, and they're like chocolate powdered coated truffles, and they're so good. And they come in
Okay.
like hexagon boxes.
Hexagon boxes. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I had no idea what that is.
Okay.
I'm sure Gabo will help you find it.
Yeah.
Oh, you called me at the end of the Costco trip?
Oh, don't
Sorry,
stress
at the
about
Oh.
going. Yeah.
beginning of the Costco trip.
Okay.
So wait, but is there something we need?
Maybe like craft singles that we just have a shitload of them. But
Can you buy us a Costco amount of craft singles?
if he's already like done with it,
Okay,
okay.
cool. Okay,
We use those for medicine for the dogs.
Oh, that makes
Um,
sense. We have a
yeah.
Costco amount of craft singles. We use those for grilled cheeses.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they'll be used for that too. So
Nice.
we just had grilled cheese today. So
All right. So yeah, so you find effectively what is a missing poster. But
yes,
that's really the only, like, it just kind of sticks out like a sore thumb amongst all of the information regarding like educational materials. I'm just open the door. I'm very hot.
sure.
Okay. Yes, you proceed down the stairs, I presume. I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll go downstairs.
Okay. So
Tiberius Blackwood. You said his name
Blackwood,
was?
yes.
Okay.
So guided by this information, you step down, and the hallway starts to darken, and you approach the landing. It's not a long walk down. You get the sense that um, kind of like that it could theoretically descend deeper, but in this case, like the vault will descend deeper. Like the initial landing is actually quite brief. And the air already grows a fair amount colder. And just before this kind of massive rune covered door, you see a group of three figures standing almost like a vigil. Their eyes are covered with thick black bandages, and they wear those very simple robes and the similar chain of the Lexi Conclave, and their shaved heads, like again. But their tattoos are much different. They're like a rolling spiral that seems to go entirely around the tops of their heads. Um, Unlike all of the stewards and members of the conclave that you've met up until this point, they do bear weapons, but they are quite simple in nature. Each of them has a mace, like a very crude mace.
Okay.
They stand still, like statues, and you rolled a 17 on stealth.
18.
Okay. You sense that even though they
Oh,
can't,
17.
okay,
17.
even though they can't see you, they seem a bit acutely aware of your presence. And at this point, there's no places to really hide. You're kind of slinking in the shadows.
Okay.
So these three people are standing
Um,
in front of the doorway.
and there's nowhere else to like to go. So it's just like the doorway.
Correct. Or back up.
Um, okay. Hmm. Uh, and is there any indication that I can tell that like these are like the blind guards?
There's
Um,
wrapping on their eyes and like
oh, okay.
bandages that,
Yeah.
yeah, they are definitely blind.
Okay. Um,
Sina tugs. You kind of almost like are a little alarmed. Sina tugs to kind of pull you back up the stairs.
okay.
And you kind of reset there. Do you think
Yeah.
they knew we were there?
It kind of seemed like they might have.
But then why didn't they
I'm
say
wondering.
anything?
I guess they didn't know who we were.
Because they
Um,
can't see.
yeah. Um, would it be stupid to just like try to lie to them and tell them that like we're there on orders of Morgana? Because, or like maybe tell them. What if there's a way I could like duplicate one of their voices and make myself sound like Thom. Well, I guess Thom's not allowed down there, is he?
He might have permission. Maybe he's one of the people that could go down there. We could
Yeah.
say we have her permission.
Hmm. Um, I didn't see any other way past them, so I guess we're gonna have to try to just talk to him.
So maybe you go down and try to bluff your way past, and I'll stay up here, and you can use a code word, and I'll make a distraction. I can get out of here.
Okay. Um, I guess I'll say something about like you know, beautiful weather we're having tonight.
Okay.
Uh, and that'll be your cue to, I guess, um, like cause a distraction and
And then you
get
create
out.
your portal and get out of here.
Yeah.
Okay. Meet back at the Amber
Um,
Crest.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, I guess I don't know. Is there? I guess that would be if they catch me, and if they catch me in the lie. Um, okay, well, yeah, I guess I'll just go down there and try to tell them that I've got, you know, I'm here on Morgana's orders. Um, she wants me to do some research on my own so that I can help uh, help her with her research into me and Elias.
Okay.
All right, well,
Good luck.
all right, thanks. You too on getting out of here if you can. I will walk down and I guess not stealthily.
Okay. As you approach the bottom of the stairwell, a voice will ring out from the middle figure. Halt! You stand before the vault of truth, a place where no eyes may see. State your purpose, and know that lies will not pass our ears.
I'm here because Morgana asked me to do my own independent research. I have the same affliction as Elias. Maybe she was thinking that maybe because of the things that I've seen, my interplanar travel, that I might notice something that she might have missed.
We were
And
chosen to guard what lies within, though we are forever denied the sight of it. What would you seek here, where even the light cannot enter to help you in your research?
I just I want to learn more about my affliction, my gift, whatever anybody might want to call it, because I think it could be the key to uh, saving the world from destruction.
Another voice will chime in. You say you come with Morgana's blessing. Surely then she gave you the answer to the riddle we must pose to you. And at this point, you can make a deception check, given your lie. Oh wow! Um, the final one, as you kind of answer in the affirmative, the final voice chimes in. Very well. I am the beginning of eternity, the end of time and space, the start of every ending, and the end of every place. What am I? And I will share this with you in Discord.
Getting Man, I would feel so dumb if this is just a coincidence. E.
As you say E, The Grand Magister herself welcomes you in. We shall not stand in your way. But know this, once you enter, your path is yours alone to tread. And they will step aside and pass their hands over the door as it opens. And inevitably, the dark wood and the silver runes glow, and it kind of pulses as the doors slide into the stone along it. Um, you enter, the air heavy, almost oppressive, as if the secrets behind this door are desperate to be revealed. Torches line the walls, constantly lit, everything in kind of a spectral blue, as though the flames are not of true fire. Um, yeah, the it does indeed descend below you, where the staircase is much wider, and the bookcases and shelves not nearly as tall and large as the ones inside the Ashenmoor, and the doors begin to shut behind you. Um, and you're afforded the opportunity to kind of go down and deeper. There are still like quite a few things um, that are available to you, mostly scrolls and dusty tomes, but there are a few artifacts that are sealed up as well. Um, but you imagine that this goes fairly deep.
Okay. Um, just glancing around, is there any kind of way I can tell, like, if these are organized by, like, I don't know, subjects? Like,
They do the
is there a
decimal
way I can
system.
tell if
Yes, go
yeah,
ahead
or
and
like,
make an
yeah,
investigation check.
uh, that is 6.
It takes you quite a while. So you think you're kind of walking amongst these things, and go ahead and roll a d20, just a flat d20.
9.
Okay. You as you kind of like walk along, you find a fair number of things. You're like, how did this get here? I don't understand this. And with a 9, I'll also have you roll a d8.
No, 5.
Okay. Okay. You're walking along and you find an interesting, kind of like, it's a small book, like a thin book, and it's sealed with a dragon-shaped clasp, like a claw wrapped around it that seals the book. And that's what ultimately catches your eye. And it's this that you start to realize that it's not an alphabetical, but it seems to be like subject matter, flora,
Nada.
flora and fauna, beasts, individuals. Like you start to realize, and then within those categories and thematic elements, an alphabetical. So it's like this book that finally kind of clues you into it. Um, so the book is there. It has a very detailed drawing of dragons upon the front of it. And it says the dragons and their disappearance. You
Hmm.
also find next to the book a scroll that is bound, that kind of like as you lift the book up off of the shelf, the scroll kind of rolls off onto the floor beside you. And it is a scroll of Storm of Vengeance.
Um, is there a way I can, like, tell what this scroll does, like what the spell does,
Yeah, you
or
could
is the
open and
name of
like
it?
generally read it. Sorry, I don't know. Storm of Vengeance is a churning storm cloud forms centered on a point spreading out to a radius of 360 feet. And each creature under the cloud, no more than 5,000 feet, makes a Constitution saving throw or take 2d6 thunder damage and become deafened. And multiple types of damage occur while the storm is present and happening.
Okay.
All that seem to liken to different kinds of dragons.
Okay.
Yes.
Well then, I guess I'll uh if there's nothing else that I can really tell on this level, then I will go downstairs.
Yeah, are you taking either the scroll or the book? Are you keeping them?
Oh, I'll take the scroll.
Okay. Um, you leave behind the book, and now, kind of armed with your knowledge, you have a much better understanding of where you would need to go to find information. And if you're specifically looking for the information on Guinevere Lightly, you kind of go to the people section and to G, and kind of among the dimly lit shelves, you find an ancient set, like they're very old, of tattered scrolls that are kind of bound together with darkened leather. The parchment is pretty worn and brittle, but it does remain legible. And you find that there's a sequence of three scrolls, and it's been translated into three languages, as if like they wanted to preserve this information for future use, but also like the ink seems almost arcane in nature, where they wanted it to withstand the passage of time. And they are sealed with a sigil of the Lexi Conclave. Um,
Okay.
they are very clearly about Gwen, just based on where you found them. Are you reading them here, or are you going to just take them?
Um, I'm going to just take them.
Okay,
Um, can I also look for one for Elias?
sure. You do not find any files on Elias.
Okay. Um, let's see. What about one for Morgana?
Morgana.
Or is this just like patience?
So these are not necessarily patients. You find a lot of. Make a perception check.
17.
You find a handful of people that immediately stick out to you with like reverence. You've heard their names before. Specifically, you find scrolls about Alari and Zephyron, and you get the sense that this is information about like figures that have either like you can tell that the two pages that you are accumulated above Alari and Zephyron are clearly biographies written about them, and that other ones there are kind of like patients or people in history who were attempted to be scrubbed from the records for the purposes of like protecting this knowledge from the people. What you also find is a scroll on the King of Spring, though you are aware that the current monarch of the Spring Court is a queen.
Okay. Um, spring. Uh, is there one for Seraphil?
There is not.
There's not. Um,
As you scan amongst the scrolls of people, though, you do find another magic scroll, specifically that of a scroll of Soul Cage. And to be clear, you're taking the biographies of Alari, the Zephyron, and the
mm,
files on Gwen Lightly.
yes.
Okay. Oh, sorry. You. Never mind. You'll have that one later, but you don't get it yet.
Okay. Um, is there anything that isn't like a book that I can see around here that would be also good to nab?
Make an investigation check.
15.
Okay. Sorry, let me just. Yes, you do find a couple of things in here. Specifically, there's along the lines of the shelves, um, a hung up robe that is decked out with a lot of very peculiar like pattern of stars and constellations almost, um, as well as a long sword clasped in a glass case. And forgive me, I'm trying to find the best way to describe these things. Um, a floating lavender stone. Make a history check.
12.
It feels familiar, like you've seen something like it, but you don't really quite remember when or where. It is locked in a glass case, and so you have the sword, the robe, and the stone. All of them. So the cloak is the only thing that's kind of like kept out and available to grab. The others are locked in cases.
Um, I'll look at the robe, see if that's anything interesting.
Yeah, you can make an Arcana check upon
Uh, 2.
it. Yeah, very cool looking robe.
Neat. I'll leave that behind. Is there? Could I look up any if I can find any book about orb magic?
Sure. Um, Go ahead and make an investigation check. Sure, and you can do so
Okay.
with advantage because you know the thing you're looking for and the pattern.
Don't even need it. Nat 20.
Oh wow. Okay. So I'll say that you have collected a scroll of Soul Cage, and if you take a moment to read that, you're kind of like, huh, this sounds eerily similar to some things I've experienced in the past. And you go off with an intent mind of looking at some of like what you assume to be kind of like banished or banned magic. And as you're looking through some of the books, you do see a kind of bastardization of the Soul Cage in a book entitled Rare and Incompetencies. Sorry, the Incompetencies of Rare and Misguided Wizards. As you kind of thumb through the pages, you get the sense that there are those in the past who have had the ability to effectively create pocket dimensions. And this is how bags of holding were originally created. After and when people started to look more deeply into bags of holding, they figured out ways to be used for more nefarious purposes, where they effectively create pocket dimensions in ordinary everyday objects that they can willfully prevent people from entering and exiting them. And because they exist in the absence of time, theoretically, people could experience eternities in there. It does mention them as being a thing that many witches and wizards tried to do to themselves to make them effectively live forever and enter and exit them willingly. But all of them are examples of people who effectively vanished from the world because they chose to will themselves into a pocket dimension and were unable to get themselves out of it. Um, and typically, these are artifacts that people can find and expose themselves to very dark magic.
Okay. Um. Hmm. Well. Uh. No chance they have a book on. Well, no, they wouldn't have a book about me because she just met me 10 minutes ago. Um. That'd be fast. All right. Well. What about a book about like hag spawn?
Make an investigation check.
17.
You are kind of follow your path to a section where there has been an addendum made to a kind of section about hags, crones, etc. Um, where most of the materials have like kind of like recently added pieces of paper to refer to notes on Guinevere Lightly,
Okay. Um.
which you do have in your possession.
Yeah. All right.
I'll say in your skinning of things, you can go ahead and make one more D8 roll.
D8. 2.
You find a scroll of arcane gate in the section where you're finding information about hags and crones. Sorry, actually in the like restricted magic area.
Okay. Scroll of Arcane Gate. Um. Well, I guess. Uh, they didn't have any other books about. So they had nothing on Elias, um, and nothing about. Uh, they didn't have any like research, like any like files about like the stuff that they've done with him.
No.
Um. I guess I've done everything down here, and I've totally explored like everything in here, right? Like
Yeah,
there's
I'll
no other
say
like
if you want to go
hallways or
ahead and roll a d20, 10 you might find something over a 10 you might find some more things of note. Under a 10 you might find other not. Um, you can make one more
7.
attempt. A 7.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you don't find anything else of note unless there's anything else in particular that you want to ask me about that you can like go off and look for.
Um. Nothing about so it looked for Seraphel. Um anything about like the shadow plane?
Mm.
About like maybe like that monster we fought in the Lobe
Sure, go
city?
ahead and roll a d20. Investigation.
10.
Okay. You don't find anything on that particular monster. What you do find are two things that like stick out to you as like things that you do know about. One being the Convergence Wars, and another on entitled Opinions on the World Tree. Um, and what you do look specifically for things in the like kind of where you see documentation about the Shadowfell, but nothing specifically regarding its kind of flora and fauna. It's more so just like people's attempts to get there.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's probably about it. I guess I'll walk back guards.
Okay, so you are taking files on Gwen Lightly, files on a
Mhm.
book on the Convergence War, a book on Opinions of the World Tree, biographies of Alari and Zephyron, and you have scrolls of Arcane Gate, and scroll of Storm of Vengeance, and a scroll of Soul Cage.
Yes, and the incompetencies of uh the
Oh yes.
misguided wizards. Yeah. Okay, and that I think that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You slip all of these things into the bag of holding and exit the Vault of Truth.
Um, look back at the guards and uh, let them know, thank you for your service. And I guess I will head upstairs, and once I get kind of out of earshot, I'm going to go back to being sneaky.
Okay. Make a stealth check.
Oh no. Actually, that might be okay. 15.
Okay. Nobody pays you any mind. Are you headed to your rooms or are you leaving for the Amber Crest?
Um, I am going to uh head outside and see if I can look around or like Sina, you there?
Yeah, Cena will kind of she sees you, she like you find as you're kind of flanking towards the exit that Cena will kind of fall and step alongside you. And she goes,
Okay.
"This is good. I never heard the code word."
Yeah, yeah. I think I got a pretty good haul down there.
Okay.
So we've got a couple options now. We can just get the fuck out.
Okay.
Um, or I can stay for a little while. Maybe give you these books to give back to the crew. Maybe they might be able to figure some stuff out.
Are you sure about that?
No, but
I mean, you can always
I
come
learned some
back, right?
stuff. Well, she said that I can't really just come and go as we please.
She's not going to pass up an opportunity to keep studying you if you take it away and then give it back.
Yeah. She's also not going to be too happy with out that I was down in a restricted area.
Right. It's kind of like a you stay and she does what to you? Like, or are you not
Yeah.
better served outside of this place?
Mm. Feel bad abandoning Elias, but
Or you got stuff that we might be able to learn more about him, right? Or at least more about what could help him.
yeah. Um,
This place loves answers. If we come back with some, maybe they'll be willing to look past some transgressions.
yeah. Yeah, that might be the best move. Get back to the crew. Maybe, compare notes.
Okay.
See what we figure out. Um, yeah, I guess we start heading back towards the Amber Crest.
All right. So you will take your haul out of the Ashenmoor and return to the Ambercrest Manor, where you'll be kind of returning in the morning after your departure. So when we pick up at our next session on Wednesday, you'll be kind of arriving as the gang is waking up from their exploits the night prior. Um, Anything else you want to do before the day is done or the morning is up?
Um, uh, I will start to flip through the Gwen book just briefly.
Sure. So in the files on, so I'll say you kind of make your way back to the Ambercrest, and you kind of, given the early hour, you're just like, screw sleep. I'll just stay up and
Right.
comb through these pages. Um, it is very clear at the top of the pages as you kind of open them that similar to some of the books that or the pieces that you found in the section on hags and crones, that an addendum has been added. The paper is much more recent. The pages are far more, they're less damaged, and the ink is much more apparent. And they're written in a different hand than the rest of the pages. The addendum, there are two. One is very recent, the other far older. The most recent addendum documents the arrival of a human boy to the Fey world named Willem, who appears to be a hag spawn and a member of a coven of children birthed due to Gwen Lightly. Um, though this information is heavily protected and regulated, and that this is written in the hand of Morgana. She writes that this is clearly her mechanism for alleviating the bouts of wild magic, and that she creates beings by siphoning off her essence into, what are effectively her spawn, and has been research of material plane and Fey plane records suggests that this is not the first time she's done this. Though most of them present with some form of magic that is not observed in Willem.
Okay.
The addendum that is beyond this was written a few short months after the original record was published. And it discusses that after Guinevere Lightly was permitted to leave the Ashenmoor, a prominent lord was killed in an outburst in the Verdant throne room. And she was sequestered to the palace prison and set to be burned at the stake the following day, though a body was never recovered. The record written by Tiberius Blackwood suggests that Gwen might have survived and continues to wield her magic elsewhere. The records proper discuss that Gwen was brought to the Ashenmoor willingly upon recommendation of Amar, first of his name and king of the Summer Court, who believed that her unique condition could theoretically unlock untold secrets of worlds beyond our own. The Conclave welcomed her and viewed her as a valuable subject rather than an ally, though. All of this is written in the pen of Tiberius Blackwood. Multiple experiments were conducted by Tiberius Blackwood, who led the research, and his staff of stewards. And despite numerous attempts, the Conclave failed to fully control or understand the wild magic that Gwen had. The experiments did grow increasingly dangerous, resulting in the deaths of several stewards and the eventual closure of the project. Following the failures, it was recommended by Steward Blackwood that Gwen be executed to prevent further risk. However, in a quote, rare act of clemency, she was allowed to leave the Ashenmoor. Further records go on to opine about a collection of stones that were donated by the Autumn Court, surfaced from an archaeological dig beneath the city. Those stones were found and attempted to serve as a conduit for her magic and presented the most effective means of amplifying it and controlling it. Though Gwen, in fits of rage and inability to really communicate coherently after interacting with the stone, which you assume to be Celesite, often claimed that she would not give up to it. There are notes.
Would not be given up to it. Would not give up
Yes,
to it.
would not give up to it. There are notes in the margins, written in the hand that you now reason to be Morgana, based on the most recent addendum, where she opines that the stones present a conduit to the magic, but that proper sacrifice must be made from one's sense of self. And that's kind of what you get from the general overview. Additional study might give you additional information.
Okay. Interesting. All right. Well, yeah. I guess at that point, I will attempt to make myself probably not like I said, not gonna sleep, but to kind of get a little comfy and
Okay.
just sort of reflect
All right.
as I await the waking of my friends.
Okie dokie. Well, with that, then, we will go ahead and close our special 69th episode extravaganza dunk solo sesh and look forward to welcoming you all back on Wednesday at our usual time at 8 Eastern, 7 Central with the full gang, where Dunk has a lot to share about his exploits in the Ashenmoor and what potential evidence he has learned. We thank you for tuning in. Wish you the best of luck and have a very happy Labor Day to you all. So
Happy
long.
Labor Day. Happy Labor Days on boys.
Uh,